Madison with Stanley and Associates, and I am once again joined by my attorneys Dustin Brown and Jacob Huey. We're here again today with some more Reddit stories, but today I have a theme. See, everybody you see here at this table was born and raised in Texas. So all of my stories here today are from Texas, which may narrow things down for you guys as far as like expertise goes, because y'all know Texas law. Just a couple of quick disclaimers before we get into it. Nothing you hear today is or should be taken as legal advice. If you need legal advice, call an attorney, or better yet, call 844-CAR-REX. And secondly, I'd like to add a quick trigger warning. There will be talks today about serious bodily injury, so if you can't handle that, go ahead and boot scoot out of here. And we'll see you in the next video. First up, this is 7 years old, so laws may have changed, but even though she's a seasoned story, it's still pretty interesting. The title is Employee Shot in the Head with an Arrow While on Worksite. It was a blunt-tipped arrow used for target practice, so the employee is okay. While leaving a job site, a 14-year-old girl was shooting arrows at a target in her yard. Many of those arrows missed the target and accidentally flew in the direction of my employees, who were parked on the street and about to leave in their cars. With the amount of arrows missing the target and flying close to my employees, we think the employees were being intentionally shot at. One arrow hit the employee in the back of the head, requiring a hospital visit for stitches. Her and another employee that drove to the hospital had to miss the rest of the workday. We took pictures of the wound and the bow and arrow, which we're glad we took pictures of the bow and arrow because the parents of the 14-year-old took the bow and arrow inside before the police arrived. I understand that the 14-year-old's parents' homeowner's insurance will cover medical. Can we go after lost wages for the employee too? What is the best route to ensure compensation is received for damages caused by a careless 14-year-old?
Yes, he's right. Homeowner's insurance is where you're at. But all of those damages can come in as your claim. It's not just the hospital bills. That's so that happens in a car wreck a lot of times. Is people go, oh, I'm going to settle with the other guy's insurance. They're going to pay my hospital bills. Okay, and that's it generally. So whenever they come to us and they've been trying to do it themselves, they're not getting any more than that. They're not getting pain and suffering. They're not getting lost wages. A lot of times they won't even be able to get the car seat in the car that was damaged or is at least considered unsafe after a large wreck. I don't think there's much evidence that the kid was doing it on purpose. You're going to be able to get your wages as long as you make the claim. We've generally had pretty good success with homeowners policies.
Same thing as he was saying. I think there's a lot of, technical stuff in that case that wasn't really the question. It was about the damages. And you always got to know, a lot of my clients think it's medical bills. A lot of people, I would say about 30% of the people I speak to think medical bills is what they're asking for when we say damages. And we have different types of damages. We have medical bills, lost wages, and then there's a lot of non-economic damages such as pain and suffering and other stuff that we ask for. The big thing is there's a lot more than just your medical bills. Of course, lost wages go on top of that, but another thing that people say is, hey, I got in this car accident, I didn't do any medical treatment, but I have 6 months of lost wages. That's you have to prove the lost wages were related to the accident and the injury. So a lot of those things come in. That's the big takeaway from here is there's a lot of stuff out there than just medical bills and even lost wages.
I think another thing is you have a workers' comp situation here. A lot of times these construction guys don't have workers' compensation, especially they're independent contractors, but shouldn't be a problem in this case.
So the top comment here is, one, since it occurred on a job site, go through workers' compensation. Yes, it sounds insane, but do it. Workers' compensation may well go after the girl. And then two, homeowners insurance may cover lost wages, but keep in mind insurance has a cap. A personal injury lawyer can help here. I would say you should absolutely demand lost wages. Don't freely give up such an obvious request. My question, this is off topic a little bit, but could somebody look at the actions of this 14-year-old who probably knows better and be like, we're gonna go after you like criminally? Y'all are not criminal defense or whatever attorneys.
Well, that's the decision by the district attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole press charges phrase that you hear all the time is really a decision by the DA's office. And sometimes I've seen where people are mad because they're not bringing charges. Mm-hmm. So and that person really wants to press charges. So that's not really necessarily up to the person who is injured. This becomes juvenile law. Mm-hmm. And I've had some history with that, but you have to kind of prove the criminal mindset here, that this person was aiming at these construction workers and not hitting the obvious target in their yard, and they're a younger person. Criminal side of this, I mean, plus what are they going to do, you know?
Do you think that that opinion would be changed if it was a more severe injury? Let's say that person turned at the wrong time and now they're blind in one eye.
No, because I don't think the result is necessarily backtracked to the intent. Yeah, let's say they had cameras in the house. I would probably say the parents probably need to, I mean, what do you think about like shooting arrows in your backyard
I mean,
over the fence that are going,
it's more of a
who knows?
It's more of a criminal thing. That, as he says, it goes down to your intent. Big degree where you could actually hurt somebody. Like if I shot something up in the air in a city, it doesn't mean I'm trying to kill somebody. But if I think that the bullet's going to come down or the arrow's going to come down, you could still get charged with,
So that's
And
where
that type
the
of
line
intent.
is drawn to
Yeah.
cross into that.
Well,
territory.
they'd have to figure out. I'm sure there's some type of investigation that goes on. A 14-year-old girl that's shooting on the backyard. Yeah, I mean, as far as you at first glance, you would say there's no intent. Now maybe she is. Maybe she's laughing and shooting it out there and saying I want to get somebody. But that goes into criminal law, and criminal law is all about the intent. Like if she said I want to kill this guy tomorrow, that's the most culpable type of killing, right? Now if you say I'm just going to shoot this arrow in the air, you could still be charged for, and you killed the person, you could still be charged for killing the person, just not, you're not going to get as long as a sentence. So it all comes down to
Yeah,
as
you
long
won't
as
be
you're
charged with murder. Generally, it's something underneath that umbrella
Yeah.
too. But I'm thinking like the parents, what about what about like civilly, like the parents like have some sort of, because like a batting cage. You're in a thing where the balls aren't going to go outside of the cage. This is you're just shooting an arrow, and you don't have anything to kind of prevent it from leaving the yard.
And I think it's the front yard. If she's like near an open street, that has to be the front yard.
It's just
It
a
doesn't.
bad idea,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we look at cases today where parents are getting charged for their
For sure.
children's
Mhm.
bad behavior or bad decisions, and so them like taking the bow and arrow inside. They're trying not to. I get it. It's your child, but also maybe not let them do that in the first place.
Yeah.
All right, next story. This one was from only a year ago, so pretty fresh. It is simply titled Slip and Fall Injury. I guess this falls under a slip and fall case. I was attending a concert in Texas when a large man above me fell down the stands, hitting me from behind, impacted my upper back, neck, and head, and continued until he hit the concrete. I was recording the song and caught the impact on my phone. You can hear me say, "my neck." I was taken by ambulance to the nearby hospital with a cervical spinal trauma, mainly C3 and C4, a concussion, and a broken collarbone. It's crazy to say this man fell and impacted only me, and I'm literally lucky to be alive. I'm not sure he's alive. When I left, he was lying lifeless on the concrete. It seems I'm having a hard time finding a lawyer who is confident in this case, even though I caught the impact on camera. Also, why is this venue not doing anything about safety for its fans in the stands? If this man would have hit a child or an elderly person, they would be dead. This is so unsafe. Fans should never worry about the possibility of any object or persons hitting or impacting them from above or behind while attending an event. I have no insurance, and I've missed work because of this. What should I do? Any advice is appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, we have concert cases too, and I've heard a lot of them that are pretty successful. I think that the big thing with these venue cases is you usually don't have a ton of evidence, right? Because there's so many people and not everybody has a perfect video of what happened. But yeah, a premise can definitely be liable for having dangerous conditions on it. If he was on a hanging off of a rail and it just fell over, they have duties to inspect and make sure that the premise is safe. Now you got to prove that they failed that duty. So a lot of times it takes going into litigation, figuring out how often did you inspect this stuff. I mean, were you going out, getting it checked out? When was the last time you got a complaint from that railing? Something like that. Always ask another opinion if one person doesn't like it. That guy's probably got a big claim too. He's probably has friends that were there that you talked to see exactly what he was doing at the time. There's a lot of facts that you don't know at the beginning, and sometimes an attorney won't file suit to figure those facts out.
On these cases, you generally need a severe injury, right? Her injury sounds severe, and you need liability or someone who did something wrong. So I agree with Jacob. What did the venue do wrong? Or what do you think? That's what we ask a lot of our premises clients is, what do you think they should have done differently? So in this case, what should they have done differently? Had someone there? They probably did. It's not a security issue. We did have a case where a spontaneous mosh pit broke out and a girl got her leg broken at a concert. The venue wanted to claim that they didn't have any fault in it because they had a sign when you first came in. We were successful in that case, but in a case like this, I mean, I find that this is, he could have just stumbled. They're supposed to walk everyone down to their seat, Maybe they overserved him with alcohol, which is another problem that would be hard to remedy as these guys go to just different stands around and stuff like that. But it's a difficult case, and that's why she's not having any luck finding the attorney. As these types of cases come in, it's better to have a clear path to what went wrong.
For some context, this person was intoxicated. The person who fell on them was intoxicated. I don't know how many concerts you guys have been to or go to, but I've been to a few over at American Airlines. The first time I went to see my favorite artist, I was in the stands, and the stands look narrow. And so it's very scary because I think, what if somebody does get drunk or somebody slips and falls and they hit me and I'm going to tumble over. And then the last year when I went to see the same artist, I bought floor tickets because I wasn't dealing with that nonsense. But floor tickets, people are pushing past you, shoving you, stepping on your foot. Alcohol is all over the floor, and mosh pits are happening nearby, which is scary, which I don't partake in because scary. I wonder how many people actually do come out of concerts, especially depending on who the artist is. Maybe it's a real rowdy kind of event, and how do people come out battered and bruised?
That's why what Jake was saying is true. It's like you have to look at what do we expect the place to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some balancing act. In the case that we had with the girl with the broken leg, we were like, listen, if these guys want to mosh, put them over here, and put the little cage around them, or have some security guys around to kind of like.
Did it stop once? Did they realize she was hurt? Or just
I
keep
think
going?
that's another problem. Is once that person gets knocked down in there, they could be trampled to death very easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like because once the mosh pit forms and the mob's going, you don't just kind of like, hey, let's calm down.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way. There now, it's like its own organism. And this little girl, who I think was 16 at the time, is just in the bottom. And I think some guy basically went in and got her.
They make a lot of money on these things. I mean, you can't sit there and say that, things happen. Like, they make a ton of money. You could have a capacity issue, too, for some of these issues. You could have them just giving more tickets out than they should have, putting too many people in the stand. Don't think they won't do that.
90s Woodstock.
Yeah, and I mean, and also it comes down to, look, the stairs might be too narrow. That's a real thing. How many complaints have they had about this? If you do discover and you find out, oh my God, they've had 1,000 injuries on these stairs. Well, what were you gonna do? Fix it? I mean, if they've had one, it's a little bit different, right? So they have duties because they make so much money off of these events every single week. They have to be fixing things on their premise whenever they find out that it's an issue.
Plus, you could sue the guy. I mean, you can
Assuming
sue.
he's alive.
Well, let's assume he's alive. You can sue him. You can sue his estate if he died, but you could sue him personally. And I think what me and Jacob were kind of assuming is which she brought this up as well, is the venue. But it's like that's your option.
Something I was thinking about is he was intoxicated. They know that he was intoxicated. They insinuate or speculate that the reason he fell is because he was going back for more drinks. So perhaps they could prove that he was overserved by the venue.
I think that's a good argument.
Yeah.
You brought that
Even
up
if
earlier.
even if he's not still with us, I think they can still
let's
check his
assume
blood
he is.
alcohol level.
Oh no, they would.
They
Yeah, they'd have
would.
an autopsy and stuff like that. So then you have another issue there. Let's just say he died from this. He was drunk and he fell. So now they've got a claim too. When we had our other case and a couple other cases, the venue's always going to point to some third-party criminal activity. They're going to try and offset the blame.
Something that's just a kind of nitpick for me is that every single concert I've ever been to, people are openly smoking marijuana. You can't do that in the state of Texas. But these concert venues are kind of like, they can't. I'm sure they could go and take, but they're not. They're not, from what I've observed. So imagine this guy is not only drunk, but he's high on marijuana. And that historically is not a great combination sometimes for some people. And, I don't know. I think that, they should, in my unprofessional opinion, should continue to call around for attorneys because I think there is something there if they really want to
certainly,
pursue.
she can. That's what I'm saying. She can, and we recommend keep calling around.
Mm-hmm. And this is a year old, so it's probably still in.
She might have found one.
It comes down to facts. If his buddies are saying, hey, yeah, we were smoking weed right in front of the bouncer, and he had gotten 7 drinks, and they knew he was overserved. He was already tripping. Yeah, it looks like, hey, there is something to be done. Now the person that owns it might be like, you know what? We'll take the lawsuit, right? We're still gonna we're still
We've
gonna
got
allow the
insurance.
marijuana.
We've
We're
got
gonna
insurance.
allow this. Like, we don't care. Probably get sued all the time. You know, it's just not. It's just part of making that much money. If we have a building and we invite in 100,000 people, we're gonna come out of there with some injuries and some lawsuits.
And
But-
especially if it's not set up to take it. Like, and I think one thing we're not mentioning is the big Houston concert that resulted in basically a class action. I think when the stage collapsed or whatever.
Oh, I think
Something,
that was.
Travis Scott.
Yeah, there was like moshing. There's a lot of rowdiness, and people did die there.
Yeah,
Young,
and I
an
think
underage
I
person
think
did.
the singer even got
Well, he had a
named,
lot
and
of.
there was a bunch of attorneys who were on a bunch of those cases because I think there was liability on the venue.
That happens a lot. Venues or festivals overbooking, and then it just chaos breaks out, and that's terrifying because a bunch of people, hordes of people, can be very dangerous.
Yeah, you have to be
Yes.
prepared for the amount of people that you invite on your property.
Yeah.
Just like when I used to teach swimming lessons. I worked at one place where I would teach 5. Okay, everything seems safe. Then I got stuck at this other company that gave me 50 kids that couldn't swim. And I'm like, what are you guys doing?
With one
You know?
adult?
With me, and my manager would always call out. So, and I knew it was dangerous, but I needed that $8 an hour. Like, so,
Oh, you were a teenager?
Huh?
You were a teenager?
Yeah, I was a teenager.
And
Don't wanna
that's
say the-
We won't
that's-
bring them up.
yeah, that's why they have rules against that. Like even with kids in school, like you're only gonna have so many kids per teacher. But and that's what he's saying is they're setting that up. That's the rules in place to prevent the danger.
Yeah. So this next one was posted 8 years ago, so laws have changed since then, especially for this topic. Again, if you are not comfortable with any serious injuries, firearms, anything like that, skip this. You don't need to be here. This one is titled Texas attacked by neighbor's dog.
That's crazy. Texas was attacked by
The whole state of Texas. One dog. By New Mexico's dog. My next door neighbor was in her garage with an unrestrained dog, a pit bull, and it ran out after me when I was getting out of my car. All I heard was the owner shouting at her dog, then looking up to see the dog rushing at me. It lunged at me, and I raised my arms to block it. The dog latched onto my arm, started to bite and shake its head from side to side. I was on my knees trying to get this dog off of me while my neighbor simply shouted at her dog. The dog refused to let go no matter what, so I tried pulling its mouth open. I felt a popping feeling, and my arm began to feel extreme pain. At this point, I pulled out my gun and started bashing it in the head with the butt of the gun, but it would not let go. My arm started to go numb, so finally I shot. My neighbors screamed, making everyone and their mothers run out to see what happened. Only one of them had the common sense to pull the dog off of my arm, but at this point I started to pass out from everything. Next thing I know, I'm in the hospital and learning that my arm was broken in 3 places, as well as significant muscle and tissue damage. I've had to have a transfusion as well. I also had a serious infection in my arm that needed to be handled before they could operate, and I learned later that I was receiving a citation for discharging my firearm within the city limits. The neighbor is not cooperating with us at all. She has chosen not to share any information with the police or the doctors, meaning I had to get treated for rabies, which I learned later was unnecessary. So, questions are this. Can I make this citation go away since it was clearly self-defense? And is there any way my neighbor can weasel her way out of paying for my medical bills? I want to make sure I don't get stuck with this BS. There are no leash laws in my city, so I am slightly worried she may not be responsible for medical. And they don't give us their city or county, just Texas.
So the first thing is she needs to talk to an attorney. Again, facts are what make the case, right? So with dog bites, if there is prior known dangerous history, that's the general rule. Each county does have different laws and stuff like that. So it does depend, but for the most part, if you knew about dangerous conditions or dangerous propensities of the dog, then if you knew it was dangerous before, if it had done something, and it could just be just nipped at your mother. I knew of a case where someone, just because the dog was barking too loud at the window of an apartment, right, that they found out that dog had dangerous propensities.
I think that these dog bite cases are a lot more than sometimes people think they are. We've had some very good dog bite results, and this is a vicious bite, immediately, it's terrible. It's going to change this person's life. So I don't care, honestly, as an attorney, well, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I don't care if the dog bit anybody before or not. I think that the neighbor has a duty to keep their dog on their property. Leash law, whatever. You don't deal with that necessarily so much. They shouldn't have their dog roaming free. You have a pit bull, which if you get to trial, it's going to come with a connotation of it. This is one of the worst dogs you could have, right? Or at least one of the breeds that bites people the most frequently. And when they do, it's quite vicious. So I would say the main thing here is when there's a dog bite like this and the police are called, I think that the dog will be quarantined and probably tested to see if it can be let back out. So I don't know if they have necessarily the knowledge of everything that's gone on, but if the police are involved, they're probably going to get the dog tested. They're going to have it quarantined. I think that's generally required everywhere.
Well, the dog is dead.
Okay.
Dead dog.
Oh, well,
You shot the dog.
yeah, but I thought they said to pull a dog off of them.
Yeah, I guess it was clamped down
Didn't
while
die
it was,
yet.
or I don't know, but they just got the dog.
Okay,
and
good.
moved
Well,
it.
the defense attorney is going to be able to help her out with that citation. That's ridiculous. I can't believe a police officer would even issue that. Your first thought's going to be about homeowners insurance from the other people. So a lot of these cases come down to homeowners insurance. Is that they're not? She says this lady weaseled out of her way of paying my medical bills. Insurance is what pays for these things. That's why people have insurance, is to cover these things. That's why there is homeowners insurance. That lady's probably not going to pay anything out of her own pocket, and you don't want. That's not what you're trying to do, because it's easy for these people like, she's going to weasel her way out of paying my medical bills. Well, she's probably got no money, and even if she did have a little bit, what it would take for you to get it is not going to be worth your effort. I would look at her own homeowners policies.
Seriously urging them to obtain an attorney. And this was 8 years ago, so I'm sure it's all good and done with now. And they think that this is absolutely absurd, insanely anti-gun, which, I mean, if they did, I can't imagine you would be in any trouble for discharging your firearm within this kind of circumstance in your home. Like we have, I don't know if it was a law at the time, but now it's like stand your ground law. You can protect your home. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Get an attorney. An attorney would love this case, I think.
Yeah.
I would think.
We'd love it.
Yeah, as
Go
long as
for
there's
car wrecks.
insurance coverage, right?
Yeah. So this last one is a silly little bonus. I think it more goes into the decorum of a personal injury attorney, which both of you are, or an attorney, period. Is it illegal in Texas for a lawyer to ask out a current client? I have a pending case pertaining to a Class A misdemeanor in Texas, and my lawyer keeps asking me out. They have texted me many times for official things, and also during those conversations and other conversations, they have asked me out. They have also made some sexually suggestive comments during those same texts. They say the case is going to be thrown out easily. It's just a matter of the DA getting around to it. Just for the record, I am a male and my attorney is an older woman. Is this illegal or is it just not kosher? Thoughts? What would you say to this?
Is it illegal?
That's the thing.
I don't think it's illegal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's illegal. I've been married since I was a lawyer, so I don't know. But I don't think it's illegal. But when you're in a position like that, it's like a
probably
doctor.
unethical,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's some sort of lawyer rule about this. I feel like
Yeah.
there should be, and especially when you have somebody who's paying you money. Okay, that's where these things start to get questionable, and it's highly advised to not do that if you're an attorney, right?
Yeah, I would say it's advised not to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I just want to put this out here. You know, if the roles were reversed and this was a woman with a male attorney, I think people would take it more seriously. And they should take it. If he is not reciprocating, if he is uncomfortable, then this shouldn't be happening. Especially you're an older attorney. You know the ropes. You know what you should and should not be doing ethically, morally. I don't know. If there's no boundary there, why are you doing this?
But from the client's perspective, if it's making you uncomfortable, go to another attorney.
So this is what the top comment, and I'll read the second top comment, but the top comment is, it's entirely inappropriate. Have you told them that you're not interested or that this needs to stay professional? OP replies, I mentioned that it might not be the best idea to have this kind of relationship while the case is still ongoing. I didn't want to take any chances. I really want this case to just be thrown out, and the DA has been playing hardball with my case. My lawyer said I never should have been charged to begin with, as I have text messages They have text messages to prove that they're innocent. I don't know what the context of their case is. It doesn't really matter. He just wants to be done with this. This lawyer has cost him close to $10,000, so maybe he's just feels like he's walking on eggshells. Like if he makes her mad or makes her feel bad about this, then she will give him
and
a
that's
hard
part
time.
of the problem, right? Is you have the attorney who's running your case for you or defending your case for you, and you, the client, is in a position where they're like, oh, if I don't say yes, then maybe blah blah blah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so,
it's that relationship that you create with the contract, and they're allowed to say anything to you. I just don't think it's appropriate.
It's a
but,
power imbalance.
and,
but
and if they wanted relationship, then just end the lawyer relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But like he
I've
said,
also-
he should leave, go to a different attorney.
Yeah, I mean,
if
if
it makes
it's-
him uncomfortable.
otherwise, if it's not making you uncomfortable, then just put up with it.
he's
right?
just gonna have to
Yeah.
forfeit that $10,000. You think?
Well, that's to be determined
Mhm.
based on the basis of their contract, and it's possible there could be some, if she hasn't earned, or if the attorney hasn't earned the fee, there could be some paid back. But if the attorneys kind of earn the fee as they go, criminal law, sometimes it's a flat fee, so that's a little fact specific. I think, yes, in the criminal world, sometimes the money you pay to this first guy is just gone, and then when you go to the second person, you gotta pay them.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times, that is just a natural consequence of it. Also, I think it's interesting how everybody or not everybody, but a lot of criminally charged people are like, I just want to get this over with. I mean, I'm innocent.
Mhm.
Can we just get this dismissed already? And,
Yeah.
and like every prosecutor's like, no, we
Mhm.
can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You broke the law. We have evidence of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
like I'm not being investigated for any criminal things right now,
Mhm.
but this guy's been arrested. You know, like
Mhm.
you've got, there's something there, but
Yeah.
everybody kind of thinks, oh, I can. They always think not they always. I'm very very general here, but it's like that assumption is always just like, I don't know if that's true.
Well, personal
Right.
injury, it's always like, hey, can you just settle?
Yeah, hey,
Can we just
get a bunch
settle
of
this?
money
And it's
already?
like, hey, no. I mean,
We have
I
to
could
go
settle
through-
one person in a month, and I could settle yours 4 years with the exact same case. There's just too many factors that come in. Of course, we're trying to settle. We want to get it done for everybody, but the same case could be with two different insurance companies and get a different result. It's just there's too many factors that are involved, and our goal is never to go longer in these cases. We don't even get paid until we win the case. So what's the point of delaying this?
Yeah, it's not like and that's a good point. In the criminal side, you know what happens? As that person works more, sometimes you got to pay them more.
So the second top comment is, it is not a crime, and although this conduct would be per se unethical in most other states, Texas has not adopted Model Rule of Profession Conduct 1.8, which prohibits attorney from engaging in sexual relationships with a client that did not exist prior to, hiring the attorney, which is insane. I mean, I get it and I don't get it. Adults should have, the option to date whoever they want. As other adults, a fine relationship, whatever. But for somebody who's not reciprocating,
First thing, instead of just leaving because of all this, I was thinking about it. Go and tell her you feel like this is inappropriate,
mm-hmm.
and just say, hey,
Yeah.
we need to just have this be a client attorney relationship, and she might be like, oh, I didn't know that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I've met some lawyers
Or-
that say some
yeah,
jokes.
or I didn't
that
mean
you
that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for watching this video, this very special Texas episode of Lawyers React to r/legal advice. If you have any suggestions of the theme for next video, please go ahead and leave them. And of course, follow us on all of our social medias that will be linked below, as well as all of these stories will be linked below. Thanks so much.